addition, if anyone in the public has questions about board package, to the extent that there are those available, or any questions about auxiliary aid services or other accommodations due to a disability or a language other than English, please refer to the instructions listed at the end of our regular meeting agenda. Present with me today are Commissioners Foster, Botticelli, Char, Chin, Okinaga, and Suki. Also in attendance are our HPC staff members, Yuen and Sakihara, and Deputy Corporation Counsel Chief. Chief Logan, who do you have with you today?
I have Deputy Chief Horikawa, and I have a new member of the police department. Actually, returning Deputy Chief
Hello!
And I have several of the assistant chiefs who are also here. Assistant Chief Lynch, Assistant Chief Takasaki Young, Assistant Chief Chung, and Assistant Chief Hayashi.
Thank you very much. Counsel Chi, do we have quorum?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'd like to make a couple of announcements. The Office of Information Practice has advised the Police Commission that the Sunshine Law, HRS 92-7, precludes the Commission from discussing any matter that is not specifically on its agenda. The retirement of Chief Logan is not on the agenda. The Police Commission's process to select an interim or permanent chief is not on the agenda. These matters cannot be discussed at today's meeting. Additional announcement: the Commission's process to select an interim and a permanent chief will be placed on the agenda for the June 18, 2025 meeting. I've asked our Commission staff to review the chief position description with the city's HR staff to ensure it is updated with any new legal or other city personnel requirements. We will consider any proposed revisions at the meeting on June 18th. We appreciate the assistance from the Mayor and his Department of Human Resources in helping the Commission to fill both the interim and permanent positions in as expedited a time frame as possible. In the interest of time and on behalf of the Commission, I have taken the liberty of calling for and encouraging nominations and self-nominations by anyone qualified and interested in serving the Honolulu Police Department as its interim chief. A confidential cover letter and resume should be submitted to the Honolulu Police Commission at 1060 Richard Street, Unit 170, by close of business Friday, June 13th, 2025. All qualified nominees whose materials are received by the deadline will be considered. Serving as an interim chief will not disqualify anyone from applying for the permanent position. And just for information, qualified under Section 6-1603, Chief of Police shall refer to a minimum of 5 years of training and experience in law enforcement work, and at least 3 years of which shall have been in a responsible administrative capacity. And I'd also like to add that tomorrow, Thursday and Friday, the commissioners will be on Kauai for the statewide annual Police Commissioners Conference. And why I'm saying that is if there are any candidates that may be applying for the interim position, we will not be discussing anything in private with them. All right, let's go back to our agenda. Now's the time for public testimony. And just to let everyone know, we do have 2 written testimonies. We have 4 in person, and then we also have correspondence. So we have written testimony from Natalie Iwasa regarding false DUI arrest. We do have written testimony from Pikachu Shelby, Billionaire, opposing the appointment of Chief Moskowitz, and he would like to speak as well. In person, we also have Jim. Do we have Lorraine Wells?
No, we don't.
Okay. So we have Alex Garcia, Paul Torres, and we have Pikachu Shelby, Billionaire. And just a reminder that it is a 3-minute map on the testimony in person. And we also did receive correspondence from the Mayor's office recommending Chief Moskowitz to serve as the interim police chief. I want to night on HNN, Hawaii News Now, they broadcast a memo from Chief Moskowitz to his people announcing his leaving his department to join the Honolulu Police Department as the interim chief. Hawaii News Now did send us a copy of the memo, so we have that as well. All right. Our in-person testimony, I'll begin with Alex Hurston.
Thank you, Chair. My question, though, first is your statement that we cannot discuss the resignation or the intern. Does that hold for us too, or just for you guys?
So you can make your statement, whatever that is. We just cannot ask questions in regards to that statement.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
You say however you feel, OG. They'll take it. They just can't discuss it out loud. They go to executive after this.
Thank you. First of all, let me reintroduce myself. I've been here a few times already. My name is Alexander Garcia. I'm a retired police lieutenant. I'm a veteran. I've got 40 years of service to our state and country. And I first of all like to thank Chief Logan for his service and wish him the very best. Also, as a disclaimer, I'm a big fan of the mayors. I think he's a great mayor. I've watched him on Ovelo, and I listened to him on Rick Carbata. He's very articulate. He's very well spoken. He's very straightforward. He's kind of like a Frank Fossey 2.0. He gets things done. He's a good leader. But I think in this case, he's overstepped his authority and his leadership. But he's done a disservice to this department. One, I think he was out of order to talk to Chief into resigning, but it is what it is. That's over. Okay. But by bringing in that letter and going out and saying that Ben is going to be the next interim chief, it's mind blowing. It's just wrong. I know he's well intended. He has the best intentions. He wants to make this a better, safer community. But as they say, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And he's doing a disservice to Ben. I know Ben. I've known him for 30 years. He's a good guy. I think he would do a good job. But he's not here. You got this whole row of people here for good candidates for the next interim or permanent chief, all in this room right here. And he's bypassed them, and he's telling them, you guys are worthless. I got Ben coming over. He's my boy. That's the perception that we get. And I don't speak for Shogo. I don't speak for HPD. I don't speak for the retirees. But all the people that I've talked to all agree that this is wrong. And if you rubber stamp this, even if you discuss it and you pick Ben, it's going to be perceived as a rubber stamp. A perception is reality. If you do that, then you're not doing your job. The mayor is picking the chief. The city council has a proposal to develop a task force for retention or recruitment. That should be their job and your job. So you're not doing your job. And I respect you guys all. I'm not putting any of you down. But you got to be hard on these guys. Make them do their job. If you don't, then I think you should all resign and let the mayor become the interim chief. Waters and Kiana be the two deputy chiefs. And the rest of the ACs will all be city council members. Then they can do whatever they want. No training, experience, this. They can just do a magic wand and hire 500 guys because they got the magic. It's wrong. And the mayor is absolutely, and I respect the guy. I like him. He's a great leader. But he's wrong in this matter. You got everybody here can handle that job. Without a doubt. Anyone.
Thank you for your testimony.
I have 30 minutes. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate your time and wish you the best of luck.
Wait, before you leave, I appreciate the comments that you made, and we appreciate it when you come in and you testify for, and also thank you for your service to our country. All right, next we'll have Paul Torrey.
This is an introduction needed. I'm just going to stand for it. So, I'm not here to congratulate Joe. I'm actually, I don't know, it's me, the coward, for even stepping down, especially after what I've been going through. and what they've been putting me through. But I'm here to publicly tell all of you that they're trying to. I basically received my letter of termination at the beginning of the month. Since then, I was paid full time, staying at home. So yeah, the public has been paying me $115,000 a year to stay at home for the past 8 months, and that just shows his lack of leadership. It shows he has no basic concept of leadership. There's quite a few on this back wall that I feel the same way about. Tapestry, another one.
Mr. Torres,
But
just so
this
that
is
we're clear,
my.
you can provide testimony, but we don't want anybody denigrating anybody that's in the room.
Well, I've been denigrated. I've been denigrated in writing.
Sir, I'm just telling you what
Okay,
it is.
well, I'm here to publicly let everybody know that there's nothing psychologically wrong with me, especially something as stupid as paranoia. People with paranoia don't act the way I do. I have an undeclared mind in psych, so I have an idea of how psychology works. I even work on the psych ward at the VA in Illinois. But I too have 27 years of federal service with the military, both Army and Navy, and 17 years with this department. And it's a disgrace what this person has done to this department. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
3 minutes.
Our final in-person testimony is, Mr.
ピカチュウよろしくはじめまして。よろしくお願いします。ピカチュウへこむ前。
Thank you.
Alright, I'll start my stopwatch and make sure we're on the same time. 1, 2, 3. Good. Alright, aloha, ʻohana, Pikachu, Shelby, Billionaire. I was just at Honolulu City Council, cause what I confessed to them, what I said to our ʻāina neighborhood board with Andrew Topola, everyone in the building, I do not approve of the Pillsbury Doughboy from Puna who can't catch a chronic anywhere from Puna, from Kalapana, because we have major human trafficking, drug smuggling, fentanyl all over Big Island. I can confirm with DFS, CHS, DHS, Catholic Charities, Hope Services, BISAC, because we get the prisoners ever from the streets talk. You walk down Mauna Kea Street, they're all homeless just like ʻāina. He cannot handle the stuff coming down. The worst part is, the first town hall he had with Kima Alameda, our ally Julie Harding, asked him one question. What are you doing about human sex trafficking with our children and our keiki? He said there are no reports of human sex trafficking this year. It's on YouTube. It's all over social media. I don't want that lying SOB to come here and take over Joe's position, all his legacy, and what these offers have been fighting for. N.O. I want someone internally from me who knows this, can handle the drama, the leadership, the tears, the compassion, can cry. I want them who sacrifice, someone who's been to war, who can handle what's coming down, dealing with the cartels, the smuggling, other stuff going down. I got 2 minutes left. My friend Kalea Kana got beat up by 5 cops on May 6th. The same day, I'm with Kurt Lavelle about Isaac Choi and discrimination. She get beat up in Howe Bush by 5 officers. Officer Paulo Hui, Officer Gabor, Detective Brown. Currently, there's a warrant out for arrest. We bailed her out Tuesday before the YNA board meeting last month. $11,000. She was in a vehicle, which is Joe Akana's business vehicle registered in Nevada, Mercedes S580, with $150,000 the cops took. So it was under investigation. It was not in the impound lot. When we sent the police report to police commissioners, we learned from the last lesson. We filed the complaint with the affidavit. The officers here saw the body cam footage of them beating up Kalei, gave her 2 black eyes, tased 4 times, crippled on her left leg and can't walk. She's in a wheelchair. She's currently facing a warrant because she bit the officer in self-defense while she was still in the driver's seat getting shocked. She can still remember them saying she's not unconscious yet and swearing and cursing. This has nothing to do with Joe Logan's leadership or nothing to do with his fault. However, the officers who did this need to be reprimanded, punished, and removed from the force immediately. The warrant that they put out for arrest on Wednesday was not signed by a judge. All these other stuff coming down is not signed by a judge. So we filed a motion to dismiss. My friend Carl Dix is right there in the court now. It's 1:30 today. So we had to leave the city council meeting, and I want to support Joe and everyone who's going to take over position because the city council's resolution is 25-160, establishing a task force to address Honolulu Police Department vacancies and officers retention. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. That concludes our public testimony. Let's move on in our agenda. But prior to that, I forgot one thing on my announcement. Just for the public's knowledge, we did receive 2 applications so far in interest for the interim police chief position. All right, moving on in our agenda. Chief of Police Chief Logan.
Yeah, before I go on, let me just say, I forgot one person who's sitting farther behind me. I didn't see my legal advisor, senior legal advisor, Lynn Wayne was also. Let me start by this. Overall, looking at the crime stats for this year compared to last year, there's a decrease of 22%. I would like everybody to understand, contrary to what social media is telling you, contrary to what anything else is out there, there's a 22% decrease in crime. Now, we do have a couple areas where it is a 3% increase in aggravated assaults. That number 3% accounts for 13 greater than last year. We also see a 2% increase in robberies. That's 5 more than last year. Everything else, homicide is a 78% decrease, or 11 less than last year. Almost 30% decrease in sex assaults. There's 81 less than last year. Now, of course, all of these are victims. These victims are very important to them, and when they become a victim of crime, it doesn't feel like crime is reduced. It's an emotional, unfortunately, an emotional episode that they went through, and so they're dealing with it. But I just want to let everybody know there is a decrease in crime, and HPD, by and large, is responsible. The men and women that work very difficult jobs out there, putting their lives on the line every day, civilians and sworn officers, are doing a really great job out there, helping protect this community. With that, I would like to start with, of course, the Macaw incident. On May 28th, 4 individuals approached another group of individuals outside their home. Unfortunately, a 19-year-old was killed, and several others were also injured. The suspects ran away prior to the police coming. Information was developed based on the excellent operations of our Criminal Investigation Division, our homicide detail specifically with Lieutenant Hames and all she's doing with the homicide, our SED, which is our Special Enforcement Detail, that's part of that homicide and CID, also with D8 and D2 crime reduction units, other patrol elements and other assets, working together to develop information to arrest 4 individuals. One is a juvenile. The bail is set on 3 of those individuals at $1 million. So that tells you that our Honolulu Police Department is out there every day doing what it needs to do to keep the public safe. We can't be everywhere all the time, and unfortunately, these kinds of incidents do occur. If you remember, last August, the department went through. We did a whole surge in the District 8 area between August and January, and there was a significant decrease in anything reported from January until May 28th, and that's when we had what we had. And now unfortunately, the public and our condolences to the families that were impacted negatively by who were victims of this, and so as we look forward to the case continuing on, and we hope the community can come together with our community policing team in District 8 and all that they can do to help the Makaha, Waianae, Nanakuli, Maili area all recover from all of this, move forward, and have the community help us help them in finding out who individuals are in these groups or gangs or things that are running around the areas, and help us identify all of them and unfortunately either get them rehabilitated, find job counseling or something, but something else other than running around hurting other people. Next, I'd like to talk about Keiki. On the news, there was an incident back on May 29th. In the Keiki area, there was a reported clan lab. They were making crystal meth and other drugs, and so our Narcotics Fight Division, along with federal and state partners, went in based on an investigation, went in to clear that area, arrest an individual, and then recover some of the things, and then have the clan lab people come in and clean up that area, and working with the state, also the Department of Health, on the hazard evaluation emergency response. We're here to also work as we release the scene to make sure that it's safe for others. Now, what that turns into in the future, we need to be seen. So it's still more to follow on that incident. The federal partners are handling that case, so they're the ones to work with if there's any further information on that. there any questions on field operations and crime before I go on to administrative?
Sure. So, when it comes to talking, when it comes to talking about the decrease of 22%, right? Why don't you unpack that a bit so that we understand that? Because I think it's so I think it sounds like how are you getting the decrease in 22%? Is that you look at like the reported incidents or something that occurred, last year or this year?
Yeah, so we use a computer-aided dispatch system, or CAD system, that provides information into our reports management system. And from there, our department looks at, our ITD can gather that data. So we have our analysis unit goes in, compares the information, pulls the data out from the different districts, looks at this time last year to this time this year, compares that data, and then they'll get the exact, it's either the scene of the crime or the date, and then, not necessarily the date, but the scene of the crime and then the type of offense, right? So that tells us how to categorize the incident. Some things change in that, and that's not always caught up within our computer system, but by and large, it's fairly accurate to that data based on criminal investigation and detectives changing categories of offenses and stuff. But that is caught up in some time in the future. And so working through all of that, that's where the data comes from. So they pull that in, at any time it's up to date based on our computer systems. And so our analysis unit can pull that data, provide that to field operations team as to how crime is looking between last year and this year.
And then I guess the other thing that I'm picking up on is that you're transparent enough to talk about the two areas where, two important areas where crime has ticked upwards. But so then just thinking about it mathematically, what that would mean is that the other areas, and we didn't talk about it, but the other areas have all gone down like a lot in order to like average out at 22%.
Like murder, 78%. Right. Theft from vehicles, 37%.
Property theft is a really big deal. So, yeah. Okay. Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you for that report and that tremendous result. That is the work of the entire department. I just wanted to ask if there was anything you could say publicly about what you attribute this effort to, whether it's the intelligence gathering, whether it's your game room, targeting gamers in neighborhoods, and is there something that we can point to that shows that the efforts have really been strategic and good?
I think it comes from leadership from this team against the wall, what they do and how they export the information and the goals and objectives from the chief's office to the majors and commanders, and that is dispersed to the sergeants and lieutenants, the officers in the field, and what they find is, and of course the majors and commanders are responsible for the districts and divisions and how they look at crime and what is happening within their area and where they want to focus on is their kuleana, their business, and so we help them provide resources to that. And so all of that is part of this. It's really the men and women care about the city and county of Honolulu as well as I do, and so how do we as a department keep our community safe?
Anybody else?
I just wanted to just comment that in spite of the backlog, the somewhat growing need for having to have more foreign officers on the force. We're not the force that you'd like to see. What did you learn over time? Because it sounds like you're using resources to work smarter, not harder. Just in spite of the lack of having as many officers and employees that are needed or actively being recruited and trained.
If I may, vacancies within the department have been something that's happened since the day after we became a police department in 1932, based on not filling the full roster and trying to recruit from the outside. There was vacancies from day one. And even Lee Donahue, wonderful chief, outstanding individual, had vacancies. And he tried to fight through vacancy concerns that goes through this. This is not something unusual. Unfortunately, it's a little high for what we've seen. When I started 3 years ago, we had a little over 350 vacancies. We're now at 450, so we've grown by 100. This is something that's growing all across the mainland. We're not the only department. And so there are other departments out there with 500, 800,000 plus vacancies, 2,000 plus vacancies. I think New York City alone had 112 or 120 people walk off the job in one day, so they all resigned. And so there's a lot of things out there with society and issues, concerns, and problems with law enforcement today, and society and government dumping more on the police officer out on the street to do more with the homeless, with the chronically ill that are out there. How do we deal with all of these individuals, the crises they're going through? The officers want to go out there and protect the public, but these other things that, while important, they're not law enforcement technically issues and concerns that we need to deal. We should be the secondary person, not the primary person, to go to those kinds of things. And that's 50-60% of the calls to 911 that we go on. And so those officers are now distracted to do all these other things, and they're not fighting the violent crime and other things that they could be doing, or issuing all the citations they could be doing, because they're doing these other things that are not necessarily, like I said, law enforcement related, but we have to protect the public. And unfortunately, 911 is the number of people call, and we're the ones who go. And so, we are using technology. We're looking at drones. Now, how can we use drones to patrol? That's something we got to work with other departments in doing that. How can we work that? There's FAA rules and regulations we have to massage with, and the FAA has already come out with some changes. I don't know exactly what they are, but I understand they are coming out with changes. So that may be easier for us. Now we got to look at state law and other things that we need to help in changing that allow us to use drones to cover more of an area for less officers to come, or maybe a drone can be used with somebody watching to cover off an officer instead of other officers covering off the officer. Somebody watching, but they could easily radio people ahead. And so there's a lot of technology and things we're trying to use. We just, it's in my administrative report, but right now we're able to purchase 600 new computers, and that's for our NDCs. That's computers for all of our officers in the field so they can work. I was just talking to an officer this morning. He loves it. It's faster, quicker, smarter. He's able to use it and get things done quicker. And so he told me to say thank you. He's a brand new officer. He came in the last 3 years since I've been here. One of the graduations, one of the recruits that I got to do PT with and get to do other things as they get trained up in the academy to do it. So it was an awesome just to listen from him from a standpoint of something that it took us a number of years to purchase, and here we are. It's hitting the road, and so that's an obvious thing for technology. So there's other things we're trying to do. There's other technologies out there. They're still in the beginning stages, but we're being told this.
I apologize as part of this discussion before, but given the efficiencies that we've been able to achieve, I guess I wonder how long has it been since the number of officers that we're supposed to have has been looked at? Because I'm not sure we actually need that many officers because we're doing a very good job with a lower amount of officers. And I wonder with all the technology and everything, at what point do we say, well, no, wait a minute, the number goes down because we're just really good at doing this now. When was the last time we looked at that denominator?
We look at that every year. I haven't seen the latest one. We did one in 24 or 23. Yeah. Emily does that. She's our management host. Yeah. Does a fantastic job. I review that document. Yeah. It covers how we're doing things and how things are operating. Yeah. And it shows an increase in population. So there's a ratio of the number of officers per the population. We're a little low on that based on officer population. And when it comes to crime and other things, we're doing okay with that element. But I think we still need a certain number of people. Maybe we don't need 450 new officers. How many do we do? This study is taking a look. I'd like to see what the new study ascertains based off of previous things coming out of COVID, how that impacted, and what is this new thing. There's not right now. The conclusion is we're doing well with what we have. I'm not saying we're perfect, and I'm not saying that districts aren't having an issue or divisions aren't having an issue. with a shortage of personnel. But with the 1,700 officers that are out there, they're doing everything they can. And that's demonstrated by the 22.
Anyone else? I just kind of sparked talking about vacancies. That topic was brought up, and of course we've been talking about it ever since you came on board. And it's a problem that all large cities, small cities face. And it's not unique to here, but it's a real problem because it affects the folks that are responding to crime every day. So I was just thinking about something that sparked an interest. So on the vacancy, so there was hazard pay that was still outstanding that would be paid. And I'm just curious if you think that when the hazard pay is given out, if that would spike vacancies, if there were those that were waiting to get that pay and then leave. The only reason I bring it up because if that is something that's in consideration, and there is a projected number of 30, 40, I'm just making hypothetical numbers, but 30, 40, 50 people, that would dramatically impact everyday staffing. So I'm just wondering if there's any thought process into that, or is this something that's already been figured out?
It's something we've discussed as the leadership. We know that there are rumors or information out there from others in the department and outside. There are people that have left that are waiting for their hazard pay that didn't wait for it to come before they retire. There are other individuals that are waiting. What the number is, I have no clue. And so, we could probably put out a survey or something to ask. That would be a way to do it. Maybe commanders could ask. But a lot of people won't say what they're going to do. They'll just wait their turn, and then they think they're ready. Some of the things we want in this 2026 budget is to put in one referral bonuses. Or if you refer somebody that goes to the academy and graduates, we're going to give you a certain amount of money, like $500 or something like that. And you can only earn so much within a given year. But that's outstanding recruiting, and every officer and every employee is our best recruiter because how they behave and what they do out there attracts attention. The other one is an incentive or retention bonus for everyone that's eligible to retire, whether that's the ones who came in before 2012 that have hit the 25 years, or the ones that came in after 2012 that are at age 55 and are eligible to retire, just based on age, but maybe not have all the number of years they want to work, but the minimum number they need. And so how do we help them? Give them an incentive of maybe $12,000, $15,000 at the end of the year to stay in. Of course, I know Shelby usually in their collective bargaining already puts some kind of incentive bonus for everyone. What if they stay the 4 years on a contract, they end up with a certain amount of money. So those things are already in there. Within their aspect, I think it was anywhere from $1,800 to $2,000 this close of business for this collective bargaining. And as they get into the new contract that's already ongoing now. So there are ways and things that we're doing to try to help this. But I think it's just taking numbers away and then trying to say we're at a new time out. We still have vacancies. So I don't think that answers the question. But there are some positions that we added in, say, for downtown. And so are we ever going to get a chance to fill it? Someday when we get back to 250, 300 positions filled in numbers out in years from now. And it would be nice to put patrol officers in, say, Chinatown and maybe Waikiki, but that's something that's far something that's too far away right now.
Any more questions for the chief on the section that he's covered so far? Not, you can go on. Okay.
So as I believe I talked to last time, but there's about William ʻāina, who was in our telecommunications. But if you go to KITV, it has Island Life Live, and it talks. There's a 5-minute video on William and the fire department, our TSS unit, and individuals are talking about what it means to and how we work with the city and county, not just HPD, but HFD and others, EMS. Work with the Honolulu Community College and their radio communications and telecommunications courses to help find individuals for the Honolulu Police Department. So I would just encourage everyone to go out and look at that one. The data-driven policing approach will In districts 4 and district 3, they see an increase in robbery and assault in their areas. Not that it's an increase overall, but in their districts. And so they're working on how can they identify certain areas and work with their resources to curb these. They believe that in the summertime that's going to increase because school is out. And so how are they going to posture themselves to help keep this reduced number of there was a social media post on June 2nd, so 2 days ago. It was on social media. I saw it, I think, on Hulu about an individual who was on 81 freeway westbound running down the shoulder. Police officers were there. So you could see the officers on the street or on the freeway with vehicles stopped. Some vehicles still going. But they're trying to help this individual get him in custody and then get him off the highway before he tried to jump over into the oncoming traffic. He tried to Logan was down, and then he was, I believe, taken to the local hospital. I talked about the computers already. Right now we have 8 recruits, either from the 214th that's in our 4th watch, or all the way up to the 217th, we have 22 recruits. The 218th recruit class will start on July 14th. And then we have 2 laterals that are coming from mainland police. We don't know which, I don't know what departments they're coming from, but they're coming from Honolulu. There'll be a much recruit class. We won't be able to have one about 3 weeks. But our laws and it's slightly different than and work depending on the hearing and the rules that are so we're still working towards that. County Pahili is an annual exercise of the state and the city and county. We'll be assisting in that as we are doing hurricane season. So we're trying to prepare HPD and how it interacts with Department of Emergency Management. That'll run from the state. And it starts again on the 9th of June. It starts again on Monday and it runs to the 10th and then the 12th. Various tabletop exercises and other things that we're going to play in also to help the new administrator of the Department of Emergency Management, Randy Collins, as he comes on board. So it'll be good for him to understand how that works. With that, I will stop.
Sure. The mainland recruits, is that 2 classes?
No, 2 individuals.
2 individuals. And so these are people who are, their
Police
spouses
officers.
are relocating, or why are they coming?
Well, that's, I don't have that. I was trying to get that before I came out.
But they have a kind of a pipeline in that if they're, officers are standing somewhere else, then
Right.
you're kind of, I assume welcoming them with open arms.
No, absolutely. We have one that came in a year ago. He's doing fantastic here. His wife is, I believe, a doctor in the Army. But a great individual working very well here at the Honolulu Police Department. So these 2 coming over, our training division, our human resources recruiters were up in May. We're up in Las Vegas doing testing and physical fitness testing for those that pass the test. For a plethora of individuals who are interested in coming back. I don't have those numbers. I'll get that for the next commission meeting, and I'll have all that for you. But those are all, improvements that are happening and things that are doing, and just great on our recruiting. Detail is doing an awesome job under major roles and all the things they can.
How many recruits in the new class do you think?
We don't have a number yet. It'll go probably all the way up to the final week as people go through the last bit of events like the polygraph, the last interview, background checks are completed, their physicals are done, and so like 20 of them.
Thank you for 20 of the military care mentioned. priority for state officers and commission practices. We're not allowed to make any comments on anything that's outside of the commission. But I guess the only comment that I wanted to make is I just want to thank you for being here. Thank you for being here, making this important to us. I think that matters and means a lot. There's a lot of drama that's happened in the last 5 days, a lot of headlines, a lot of things that are going on outside. But I think this sends a really strong message to the department that you're still here, you're still working with the commission, talking to us about the day-to-day activities. You're aware of what's happening in the department. Your deputy chiefs are here as well. Your assistant chiefs are here. All 7 commissioners are here. And I think what this actually tells the department and the public is that despite all of what's going on outside, we're still functioning, like we're still, the day-to-day work is still being done, and you are showing up, and that means a lot to me. I really just want to say I very much appreciate that.
I'm the chief until the day I'm not.
When I started as a commissioner, the previous chief was stepping down, and they announced their retirement. I never saw them. And I just appreciate the fact that you are here and you're talking about what's happening in the department and you're still involved. So thank you for that.
That shows my love. Brian, did you want to cover?
I just wanted to mention regarding your question to technology, and whether we should consider that as downside after that. I think that's a legitimate question, but the staff that we're achieving now are with officers working double shifts, and sometimes more than that. So when officers hear that, they get kind of taken back, like, whoa, we're working double shifts, and now they're going to take that smaller work. So I just want to clarify that you understand that they are out there working double shifts, making and triple shifts, depending on what's going on. We don't like triple shifts because that's a lot, that's stress and these and other things, right? So I just want to clarify that they're out there, we're getting it done, which just shows our care for the community, but to say that we're going to now downgrade and we're doing good, it's kind of like a move that comes to break something. So I just wanted to put it in there.
I think if I could add to that too, regarding the need for our, I think I hear you too as far as strength, size, the numbers, and I think to Commissioner Okinawa's good point too is, I've stressed this before, the vacancies is just a number. I mean, we could have 200 vacancies just off the top, just get rid of 200, and now instead of 450, we have 250. I mean, why are we hurting ourselves in the media and calling it 450? But I think the hard part is the positions are tied to budget, is tied to funding. So if we deactivate those positions, the funding that goes with the positions goes with it. And right now, even in City Council, we're looking at a $8 million reduction in our budget. And because we don't have the staffing, we're utilizing that funding for overtime, which we need. I mean, just right. So we've already talked to BFS and DHR. Well, if we're utilizing the funding for the positions for overtime, then why don't we look at deactivating the positions, have a 200, because we're never going to fill, not never, but it'd be very difficult to fill. Call it what it is, overtime, and budget it that way. So instead of having 450 vacancies, let's have 250 vacancies. Use the money for what we're using it for, overtime. Or if we don't need all that money, then let's give some of it back to the city and let other departments that are hurting, maybe let them use it for what they need it for. But we need to really take a close look at that, and we need to start that conversation now. You know what I mean? And somebody needs to do that, so let's do it. Let's not wait.
So, Chief, the topic of budget. So there's, outside conversations that we hear about money being returned and couldn't that have been better used?
To 15 mil.
Whether it's now or if you wanted to schedule it for another future agenda, I think that it would be good for the public and good for the commission to hear that even though there's pots of money in different categories, that it's not I can use what I want because I need it. That there are
rules related to all the money, and that when a budget is created and authorized, that it's very specific, the pipeline is specific, and if we need to move, or if there may be projects, there may be an RFP that was never executed, and that pot of money may lapse because in that budget year, the money wasn't used. I think it's a helpful conversation to have for the public and also for our commission. Just a brief on how those things work. Because if we just hear it as a byline that we leave $40 million on the table, $50 million on the table, I mean, what's behind that? I can't imagine that any department of the city would, on their own, say, hey, you know what, I'm not going to spend this money, I'll just give it back. So it would be a good discussion to have. And if you don't mind, we can add it to the next agenda.
Well, I think it's a great idea. You know, you talk about the budget, you talk about percentages of lapsed funds. We are no different than the other 27 city departments. Our percentages are equal to theirs. The difference is our budget is much larger. So when you take 13% of 370 million, is a lot different than 13% of 12 million or 12 million or 127 million. So it's not fair to us to get blamed for 45 million if that's what it is. It should be the percentage of what it is, and we're across the board equal to the other departments. And so look at it holistically that way. Or even better yet, maybe set here's the lapse rate that I would like every department be at no more than 10% lapse. So then we have, how do we gauge, how do we adjust, how do we move money? Maybe we're never going to see that. But like I said when we ran special operations in Waianae for 6-7 months, that's millions of dollars. So that's money taken from what would be normalized lapse funds from, we had to move money from fourth quarter into the first, second, and third quarter to pay for that, as well as the District 4 and District 5 Stairway to Heaven or Haiku Stair security operations, which are not funded regularly by our operations. So we're paying for all of that using these funds. And so right now we have a bill asking for 13 million to be moved into patrol so that we can cover that shortage. The question is why? Well, this is why. Because we're not funded for those normal, we're funded for day-to-day operations. These are over and above the operations that we have. A lot of it is overtime. And then, so we take monies from fourth quarter, move it to second and third quarter to pay for that. Because we got to pay for it when the officers are earning it. And then we're short in the fourth quarter. So now we have to move from monies that would normally may lapse. We have to take it from other bureaus, put it in, and then it covers that difference. So that's where we're at right now. I think they're still working on the city council right now. I don't think that portion of the bill has been approved.
I think it would be helpful for the commission if, and I think it's reasonable on a quarterly basis, if we just had a budget summary, and that could include money that needs to be transferred and why. It could be projected lapses. We know that a lot of the monies are backloaded so that we can pull it forward because we can't push it backwards. And so maybe those kind of conversations, we get a better understanding of where the department is at a point in time.
Absolutely. Let's do that next week.
Okay. And then just something that came to mind too. We did have, it's not on the agenda, so I'm asking for it to, Janelle, if you don't mind adding it to next agenda. But we've gotten a letter from the ACLU and it's in the media. There was discussion about that. We can't talk about it now. If you can be prepared to speak to that issue at the next meeting.
June 14th.
I think next on the agenda was the strategic plan.
Yes, thank you.
You all have a copy of the strategic plan. All right, it's also available for those that are listening. It's on our website under information and resources, honolulupd.org. There's two. There's the 2023 version and there's the 2025 version. Should look like this. We did, I think, the first two killings. Yeah, 3, 4, and 5. And we all prepared to be here until 6 o'clock.
Someone's paying overtime.
I'll cover the highlights.
If you don't mind, you cover the highlights. If any of the commissioners want to get more into the weeds, we can ask the questions.
So under Pillar 3, create safer communities, we look at hotspot policing. I just described where we're working through that to the the districts in the and patrol are already operating in this capacity. Can we improve it? Absolutely. I think there's more information, more requirements we need to push down on how exactly to use it, but I think by and large it's operating. So I think the status shows green, and I know our bureaus are using the information, but like I said, we can do a little bit better job. And identifying maybe from the top side, there might be other things that we haven't done to ask the district to do, rather than the district coming up with it all on their own. But I really, it's their kuleana, their business, their district. I don't want to micromanage, but I also want to, help. There are certain areas that are important to others, like Chinatown, like Waikiki. So how do we make sure those areas are always being looked at? Yeah, this is gonna all come off in the future, all the green. And then we'll look at putting new things in.
So, Chief, just, I know that it'll roll off, but it's artifacts, right?
Correct. The one that's yellow there is focused on illegal game rooms. We're looking at the end of calendar year 25, so reducing that by 25%. I think we're close to that already, if not surpassing that. But I want to take a look at it at the end of 25. Give you a better percentage on where we are and how much we reduced. We do know that some game rooms shut down, and startups over here that shut down. And then how are we calculating those? Are they just 3 or is it just 1 that's moved? So we got to figure that out.
How confident are you that you actually know what's out there that you just don't know?
I think based on the information of the officers that know their beats, I think we have a fairly accurate. We can't know everything.
Yeah.
I think we have a pretty good idea. Addressing crime trends. This is one of those that we've started. Right now we're working with, the real focus of this one is kind of changed now. While the districts are using, that'll help us perhaps conduct further investigations. The next one is addressing agricultural crime. It's on the next page. That one, this is where drones are extremely important in helping Billionaire as we work with Farm Bureau and those individuals that have farms, and unfortunately criminals come in to poach their cattle or sheep or other things. So how do we help them? And working with, policemen are not always designed to go hiking in the mountains and do those kinds of things that DLNR is very good at. And so, how do we work with DLNR and other agencies, whether federal or state, to help reduce and really discourage these kinds of agricultural crimes on people's farms and properties. But still a lot of work to continue to do in that one. I just covered the CREED, the firearms reduction working group. That's what I just described in conjunction with the previous state. School resource officer, that is green. We have 8 individuals that are going to class. They're in class right now in Arizona, and they'll finish later this Friday. So those 6 officers will be assigned as an 89-day contract. So they'll be contract. They'll be police officers. They won't know they're not policemen or they're not full-time policemen, as in counting for our numbers within our current personnel numbers, but they are now contract hires coming back, like the reserve officers that we're bringing back on contract to hire them full-time to be in schools, and they'll be in the 25-26 school year, so they'll start in August. There'll be 3 individuals, and then I think 2 others are backup in case we need to fill in it's some, but there'll be 3 at each school. So one is AA High School, the other is Clemson High School. So one in the central region, where we have a lot of minorities in Clemson High School, or underrepresented groups, and then we have in AA High School, we have a very large law enforcement track within, it's like 100, I think 150, 170 kids that are involved, and the football coach is the one running this. Just a fantastic individual, doing great things, not only as a football coach, but now helping kids identify and look at law enforcement as a people. So a great opportunity, but these officers will be out there. We're out there to coach, teach, and mentor the students that are out there, get to know who they are, help them if they have any questions, concerns, what is speaking, to help the school with any law enforcement issues, questions, or events that come up, and then call us when they need us to come help and quell, students that are engaged in fighting off campus and other things like that. So how can we help them? But this is a great opportunity. This is a test for us. I think the Department of Law Enforcement also has, they're going to put a team in either non-affiliate or why not, I'm not sure exactly which one, so they're doing also a test. So this is an opportunity for us to take a look at. If we need to expand it from future years, then we'll look at that. And then at some point in time, based on future budgets, if we can afford it, or passing this on to the Department of Education and how they can pick up the personnel costs in the future, because it's a Department of Education property. We're providing the resources, and that's the way they used to do it a long time ago.
I just want to observe the line crossed, which is, state is state, city is city. This is tremendous. This is a great way to show that we can walk and chew gum at the same time with DOE and HPD, and I just want to thank you for that.
Appreciate it. We can help each other be successful.
Yes.
Okay, 3.2, improve the investigative process. I think I reported on this some time ago, but expanding the digital forensic services or cybercrime. We're still looking for the right people to put in that unit. We have one more detective agency. We need to fill that to get about 60% help. And so we have, I think, movements coming in July and then November. And so we can go one of those, we can get the right people in, and then start training them up in the realm of cyber crimes and digital forensics with computers and phones. The next one down is improved communications with victims of crime. This one is one it's one of those difficult things because it's a security issue, but it's also helps those that are victims of crimes, that reported crimes, get information as to where their case is. And so it's an obvious right thing to do to help the public understand where the detectives are with the investigations. But we just got to make sure that the computers that we're using and the access to the portal is very secure and infiltrate. So that's the final things that we're trying to work on. We can do tracking things with QR codes or barcode scanners from somebody who is a victim or a reporting person. And so these are things that our ITD and the CID are working on, how to work with each other to gain this access. So I'd like this to move faster, but unfortunately this is technology at its best, and so how can we do that without hindering our safety and security environment? 3.3 is integrity technology. These are all green. Real-time crime center. We have a capability upstairs, and so we're working through. It's not at the full operational level we want it to be at, but it's operational, and it works with the intent that we need it for right now. But it'll probably, we're discussing with the Department of Law Enforcement, because they also want to create a real-time crime center. So what does that mean? Can we work with our state partners and maybe work together towards one system that we both can operate from? So more to follow in that, but by and large, we already have this operation, and it's working. Increased efforts to explore new technology for new services. I think I've talked about most of this. Our communications officers in dispatch use Rapid SOS, which is they're training through all the portals. There's two types of parts of Rapid SOS. There's a part that you might pay for that adds additional resources and capabilities, and other ones are free, and we're using a little of both to understand what exactly do we need. But these Rapid SOS allow the communications officer that's handling the call identify who's calling, where are they at, and by location, and then the information as to the phone number and who it is. So just a great opportunity that they know who they're talking to and where they're at. So in the event that there's a drop call or the call gets disrupted, they know where to send the officers to. So it really helps with our police communications officers and all the stuff that they have to go through, not being on the scene or out on the street, but behind a computer trying to vicariously live through our patrol officers and do what they need to do best. And they do an amazing job. Like I said, with our telecommunications section, with the ʻāina and the community colleges, we're working through all of that with the 225 radio system. And then we have a Beyond Push to Talk, which is, I think, getting closer and closer. I know the communications people are using it, but how do we update some phones so we can do that for everyone that has a next FirstNet phone to be able to do push to talk through the radio now on the phone, not necessarily on the phone. Or if one doesn't work, patrol can go LTE. If LTE doesn't work, it can go to the satellite. So there's different ways for this to work, and we always keep our officers in communication with us. And then the e-citation program is still ongoing. We're just finalizing getting enough funds to buy the printers across patrol that we need. And once that's done, I think we can start using e-citation across patrol. 3.4, the next page, improved enforcement coordination. I don't normally host a large-scale meeting with our federal, state, county partners. However, I do attend with multiple federal, state, and local law enforcement agency meetings, whether it's ʻāina, that's every other month or every month. That's the FBI has several meetings that we attend on a regular basis, and so these things, I just got to relook and reassess. Do we need to do one on our own, or is the ones that we're going to and attending now, is that sufficient for coordination?
That's my question. Like, do you need this international coverage in English or Russian?
And then last one, coordinate information sharing with our VIOs. Again, this goes back to what I talked about earlier. So this is something that's ongoing right now. They're the ones that feed information also to our analysis unit that come up with the statistics on events. 3.5, improve traffic safety. So our traffic division is working with the State Department of Transportation and other entities to figure out and reduce. I don't have any exact locations of intersections where we've actually participated in and helped reduce, but I know we're working with them on a regular basis. And whether it's providing the signage up on our freeway system to let people know, you now have the H&L alert that provides for all alerts on either traffic incidents, as far as, a water main break and those kind of things that are going to create situations where drivers can't go the normal route they want to go. They're going to have to reroute themselves, and so we're working through all of that. So we continue to work on all of that, and it's pretty much a go across the board. And those are things that are embedded in policies and procedures. We just continue to work with them. The traffic, the next one down is using data to drive traffic enforcement. So I know we talked about in the past complaints coming in on the freeway, whether it's speeding and racing, usually at night. The operations, whether it's the H1 freeway heading towards the west side, maybe to Pro City Evo, or it's or on the viaduct on the airport, or it's H3. And our traffic division has done multiple operations in the last couple of months. And saw a 20% increase in, I think it was traffic enforcement operations. And so But I think overall, I think that in 1 month we had 12 or 15 complaints. The following month we had 1. So we know the impact of that was to really much shut it down and reduce drastically the number of complaints on speed on our highway. But still, they're going to continue to work that throughout. That brings us to the last, fourth pillar, building community trust.
By the way, I just want to say this, which is that I want to confirm that everything that you are going through with us, going to be a hard copy, it is all available on the website. Information, resources, strategic plan, click on it, and I follow it along on my phone. And if anybody is listening to this right now, could do this. And I would also say that to the extent that I'm around, I would expect whoever is applying to be very familiar with the strategic plan and talk about how they want to keep that going or there are changes that they want to make because this is a strategic time for the department.
Pretty much everything under 4.1 strengthening community relationships is ongoing and ingrained in the department at the districts and division levels. So if you have any individual questions about any one of these, I'll be happy.
These scripts do that six.
There's a number of homes within public property. So we're working with our city, state agencies, and other non-governmental organizations. I think they do point in time count. There was an operation done last month on the Diamond Head slopes, both on the Mackay side, which is city property to the ocean, and then the Malka side, which is state property to the ocean. So we're doing a joint operation with the 2 districts, 6 and 7, and then working with the DLNR and the sheriff's office to help clear. I think this morning there was noted there was probably 150 people living amongst that area. As we enter into dry season, fires become an issue of concern, probably have over a number of years, even when I worked on that side out there. And so how do we reduce that threat to the community that's out there? And so here was a way to help find resources for these individuals. So this joint operation was able to help that. Now I understand there might be 30 people that are out there now continuing to live on both sides. So still some more work in progress as we help, the community help itself and these individuals seek resources that are out there. I can tell you that Honolulu was in Kapolei and it's recently moving to over the old stadium. That'll be operational here pretty soon. And so these are the things we conduct on a daily basis. There was a Supreme Court decision that recently changed some things in LA County in California that now is looking more at individuals being able to use property that's out there, whether it's a sidewalk or park, and homeless individuals can't just take it over. But how do we work with them humanely and with humanity and compassion to find resources to help them help themselves instead of just gathering up people and pushing them to another side of the city and county? That's not going to work. There's a lot of resources with the city and state in Iwilei that are up and running. There's more ʻohana that are popping up all over the island. So there are resources available. We just have to point them in the right direction, get them the help they need. Iwilei also has mental health and medical assistance in their buildings that are over there to help with these individuals that may need, whether they have open sores and need some help and treatment, or whether they're going through some kind of mental crisis. How can they help them? A little bit more work to be done on those that are probably facing addiction with drugs and alcohol. But how can we as the city and the state help them also? But that's, I know the mayor and his staff, along with the state, are working diligently on all of that.
Which seems like something we talked about earlier about moving away from standard policing and other more simple services. It seems like a piece of that.
Right. So as CORE increases its size, and gets more EMS personnel involved, And I think he'll start taking the lead on a lot of this, and then we'll be able to back them up and support. And I see that happening here in the future. And so, that'll all come. Thank you for that. Would you like me to continue, or?
Yes, I would.
Like I said, 4.1, strengthen community relationships. Community policing, our community policing teams went to a conference. The various district teams, members now. So they brought back, I'd like to, in the future, near future, I'd like to understand exactly what they learned, what's something new, and then how can we incorporate what they have, best practices to help our community, but we continue to work on all of that. Under 4.2, prioritize community communications. Again, we're agreeing across the board, all these things are implicated within our department, and so we're still working through all of those. If there's any questions. 4.3 is media relations. Good.
So you're actually going to do a survey in December 25.
I think that's,
The next survey, yeah,
I think that's what.
more information about how that survey is going to be.
Under media relations, like I explained previous commission meeting, we have 2 individuals that are under contract right now, making up part of our media department. Right now, our communications director has been identified and offered, so she is going through the background right now, and she will start in early July. As she can get through what she needs to do, leave her job at the state and move over to us. I've had multiple conversations, just a wealth of knowledge, wealth of capability, looking forward to her coming on board, to work with a total of 5 individuals. I think we're waiting for the list of eligibles for the media liaison 2 position that we had out, and then I think we should be out on the streets soon for the media liaison 3 position. So we're going to fill all those, and that'll put 5 people, a 5-person media team together. We're looking at expanding it even further to include social media and other things. And so there are more to follow on this one. It's going to continue to grow.
Can I just say something? Sure. I saw in the newspaper, or did I get a notification of something, but there's a bill being put forward about the radio aspect of Spanish or something. And I know we've had a lot of discussion around that, and a lot of discussion around having the TV that source that information. And I know you guys wrapped up your social media is working hard at it. But when we have incidents like the Washington shooting and things like that, where things are dark, that just doesn't help. You know, that suggests that we have had access to a radio to see what that was going on. Played a role in making sure the public was aware that there was a safety hazard. So I just want to encourage you to continue to really try and button that up. If radio access continues to become a department does not back because of the PII issues, this is really encourage the department to do that sort of thing.
Well, thank you for that. So earlier today, we were at the city council after the meeting. So Deputy Chief Bannock got up to the microphone to testify out regarding that. And while there are federal rules and regulations that don't allow us to do that and put in jeopardy some of our joining of FBI and other resources, we have to be careful in that. But we see a trend in other police departments moving towards providing the radio communications to the media. So, rather than having a law to tell us to do it, let us commit to, the city council that we're going to start working towards that. And so we'll form the right team to get together, to take a look at it. How can we do it? How can we do it safely? Officer safety is paramount in all of that. So how do we do that? How do we control PII to make sure it doesn't increase? But at the same time, as you alluded to, is keep the media involved so that they can keep the public involved, and notify what's going on. Because we can only do as fast as social media can provide, and that's a limitation too. But this is another avenue. So we've committed to them to do that. We take advantage of our presentation to them today. So awesome. 541. So the very first one is conducting a lot of analysis for the department. So I know we're developing one for 2025. I want to see the results of that. I think we're usually a year behind. So we're a year behind. So we get 24 here pretty soon, and then as they're developing 25. But working towards seeing where that pans out. I know District 8 is still looking at its internal capabilities with the unfortunate crime that's happening out on the west side that continues to happen from time to time, although we're able to curb a lot of it with the operations that we ran at the surgery in the area, but there still seems to be some issues and concerns out there. How do we address that? We also have keiki that has its own issues and concerns, so we have to look at where do we put those additional resources to help commanders make sure that they can continue to keep their people safe. Alternative work schedules are all effective within the department. Various divisions and districts are doing this. As patrol is working a 3-13 schedule, we have other elements working the 410 pilot programs. A lot of our civilian, heavy civilian divisions are working towards these 410. So we even have some that work from home. So can we do all of that? So working through it and ascertaining how that works. So it's pretty much embedded with the department. It's working well, and we're assessing on a regular basis. The last one is what I just talked about. They're requesting an additional beat, so it's a new recommendation from Pearl City and District 5 and so that whole area needs to be redesigned, I think. District 8, Couple A area, District 3, Pearl City, District 2 is Waiwan Shore, and then District 5, Kalihi, Pearl City, and District 2. So how is that all going to look? How is the rail probably with the stations where they're at, where these transit-oriented development is coming in? How is that going to impact the population densities in certain areas? So these are all factors that we got to continue to take a look at. Where's the population growing? And then what does that mean to the police time? Where are the boundaries to make sure we're in the right place at the right time to have the right number of officers in the right groups, in the right sectors within each district?
Partly population, but partly crime. Right.
Yeah. And calls for service.
Right. Really just something ongoing, but give us time that we can the next updates and things on when we reorganize.
That leads us to 5.2, address employee misconduct. So restore trust in administrative investigation process by ensuring efficiency and timely completion. So I understand we're working towards this. There is analysis of software, where we're at with this. I got to double check exactly where we are, but I know there's software that allows officers or investigators to work the cases faster, but it's also how do we work with the union and the department to get all the gates met for an investigation to be through. We don't want to skip on investigation. We want to find the facts to either exonerate an individual or unfortunately hold them accountable if they do something wrong. And so how do we work through all of that in a timely fashion? So still more to follow on that one. I think we can, I would say by the end of this year, we'll be at a better state of where we are with that. I know the measurable outcomes show second quarter of 2025, we're past that already. So we got to do a better job of getting our PSO and where they are, and our human resources where they are with administrative resolutions and how to conduct those in a more timely fashion.
So when I came back on Monday, I got an update from PSO, so I can maybe provide even a little bit more of an update on this. So as far as like they've created a lesson plan. They'll actually be starting to go out into the districts and provide those lesson plans to the districts starting next week. So that part is actually will be moving forward. They've actually started using the tracking capabilities. They've started it already. So we're moving forward. So the analysis has been complete and we're starting to do so. That's moving forward. The use of the transcription is still ongoing. They're testing it, but there are some there's some bugs in it. So we want to make sure we're using it because it needs to be active. That part needs to be considered yellow. And they've already ran the numbers and we've already actually hit a 10% reduction. We want to make sure that we verify those numbers before we share them with you. But I would be fairly confident in saying that we've already actually achieved that. So that would be an update to those. But in the next iteration of this report, I'd be fairly confident to say that this would be great.
And the last one is equip employees to conduct quality divisional administrative investigations. So, the PSO is conducting in-person visits with patrol. They're actually creating another office on the west side, so at the top of the police station, so they can work out of that office to help assist with investigations that are at the division level in the PSO level. Things are moving along. Still want to see things move faster. I know the policy is 60 days. That is something that's going to be for some investigation that's pretty easy to do. Other investigation that's much tougher to do. How can you, for those complicated ones,
I just wanted to throw that like we've had this strategic plan agenda for the last couple meetings, and then also the strategic plan has been on the website, and so we haven't received any testimony telling us that this is untrue or that this is inaccurate or questioning the information that's being provided. So I just wanted to note that that's what's going on.
5.2, focus on equipment upgrades. So, like I said, we talked about the computers. We have 600, it says 550 Microsoft computers. So there's both desktop computers that we're changing over to Microsoft 365 so that everybody within the department is on those computers, as well as the computers we created for the officers that are in the field. You have an update on that?
Yeah, so for the computers, I think we're way ahead of schedule. Over the past 2 months, we've been able to update about 1,000 desktop computers. We're way ahead of schedule. We will utilize some laptop projects that we did. As well as including the PCs. And then these are 600 PCs that we
last one is research and development unit dedicated to the uniform recruitment committee. So this is part of comms ICP. They're working together with other elements that make up the recruitment. Kind of take a look at it, get a training together, identifying taking a look at our new see it with the personnel that are out there, make sure it works properly, it's manufactured the way we want it to increase officers. So still more to follow on that. Now we're looking at finalizing, we're looking for a consultant to look at our new patch project. And that would be even better when we go towards the radio systems, looking at working with the media. This new CAD system, what does it bring? What are the capabilities and efficiencies it brings, and how does that work together to help everyone with information flow? So more to follow on that one. That'll be more. The vendor will probably be chosen toward the third quarter of 2026.
Any questions for Chief on the second half of his presentation, the progress tracking? Yeah, we'll take some comments as well.
It's overwhelming that
I fell asleep.
that I know went behind each and every one of these. Yeah, I mean, I didn't add up the numbers, but it's pretty darn good. I mean, if you didn't have a strategic plan, you wouldn't have the 60%. So I just would commend you on a good job of taking this thing seriously. And, acting.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think also what's really remarkable about it is we have the things that we talk about all the time, recruitment, how do you do the departments in every different way you can make the department more efficient. So I just want to underscore that, for members of the public who are watching. This is just a sort of 40,000-foot look at what the department looks at now with some drill down into what can we do right now to make the whole enterprise work better. So I just appreciate that. It's pretty comprehensive.
And then that's the fact that you take the time to go through this document with us and then answer, basic questions that we have, and then explain it to us, and then even your ACs type up, your deputy chiefs type up, and you can explain what's happening with the strategic plan. I think it shows a respect for the commission, and our role, the role that we play, and the ways that we can be able to contribute to the department by serving on the commission. So I want to thank you for that, because I'm just going to tell the commissioners, these guys don't have to do this. Like, they could just email us the strategic plan and then they're fulfilling the charge. So the fact that you're actually doing this and taking the time to explain this to us, I think it shows a respect and a relationship between the department and the commission that's really important. So thank you.
No, thank you. And I get feedback and information from all of you in your expertise wherever you work in the community, and provide some best practices that allows me to adapt the strategic plan to be more effective in the
I just wanted to just say too, as a major city organization, you're going to need it. It's a requirement. It's something that's expected from any major city. And I think there's always an opportunity to review other departments, like-sized departments, similar challenges, to see how they do theirs, and then are there things that maybe we haven't anticipated that may be coming to our neighborhood or things like that. And then, everybody's saying a tremendous amount of work. It's like totally underscored. The amount of work on number one, even envision this and then develop it. The implementation is always ongoing. And because the challenges that a department like yours faces is so dynamic, there's going to be pieces in here that just need to be expanded, some that need to be put on the side,
It really, truly is a living document. And then I guess the only other thing that really helps it to be efficient and effective is when you look at policies and you look at practices. And if they're in alignment, then that's a good thing. If they're not in alignment, then how do you change that so that they are? Thank you, Chief. Great job. Anybody else? All right.
Would it be okay for me to just sort of address everybody here, since I have all of you, and just say one thing about the events of the last few days, because it's been I'm sure that there was reverb in the rank and file. How can there not be with those kinds of headlines going on? And so, and we now know the mayor has said in the paper today that he would like to shift the capability to appoint the chief to the mayor instead of the police commission. But that's a process that takes a while, needs a lot of thought. We're not looking at anything till probably 2026, maybe, if that happens. And I just want you to be able to communicate to the people who work here, all the men and women, sworn and civilian, that we do have a police commission. We are have taken an oath to fulfill our responsibilities under the charter, and we're going to continue to do that. And I just hope you tell them that.
Thank you. Anything else? If not, let's move on in the agenda. That was item 4. We started yesterday, but here we are today. Okay, on the agenda, item 5, actually it's not available, so we'll add that to our next agenda. Then item 6 is the status on the Chief of Police Performance Evaluation. I'll give my thoughts on it, and I'm looking for comments from the commission. I believe the evaluation process needs to continue. It needs to be finished. And the reason of this is it's very important, right? The evaluation process, it does a lot of things, right? We get feedback that we use for our final evaluation. I think we need to close the loop on a year that the chief has served. It also incorporates the good work that was done on the strategic plan, and it recognizes areas that may need improvement. So, irregardless of things that may be going on, I believe it's important for us to do a thorough, comprehensive, like we do every year, final evaluation for this annual evaluation period. Any comments would be?
So would this be, we would be evaluating the progress on the strategic plan?
I would say that the way I would look at it, I'm looking for feedback. Is that for sure, absolutely, the strategic plan. But I would also say even the evaluation of the police chief. And the reason behind that is that even for something that is ministry, we want to have something that we can look back on that was good to go or things that needed improvement. And those are things we can always reach back to and use for information.
I think that makes sense. And can I just say we were embarking on this process anyway. We've gone through a pretty painstaking, lots of discussion process of reimagining the evaluation tool we were using, and I was actually looking forward to using that new tool. So this gives us an opportunity to test that tool out too. And I don't, you're retiring, but I agree there's no reason to stop with that evaluation. Just cut it off and we should proceed on that.
So I support the chair's recommendation. The audit said that we took us to task for not doing an audit at the time when we had a staff meeting. And so it makes sense that we should do it. And I remember I personally tried to excuse myself out of that and say, well, we were in the middle of trying to select a police chief, and so we wanted to focus on that. But the audit said what it said, and so I think we should do that. So, given that this same thing might be happening again, or is happening again, I guess the one thing that we have to caution ourselves is that we don't let the we are going to try to do it. Or urge the commissioners to try to do it all. Continue with the evaluation. Take us off task or off focus from the imperative that I think we're all doing to be as proactive as possible when it comes to
Thank you for that comment too. And absolutely, we want to make sure that there is no delay on the process for interim, and then also the process that will be used for permanent selection. In fact, we've already put a request out to city HR. We've gotten our first meeting scheduled for next week Tuesday. So we're meeting with the head of HR to begin that process.
Just quickly, the new evaluation form has 5 categories: leadership, management, strategic plan, and budget recommendations. I think we can learn a lot in these interviews that we're doing anyway. Not necessarily, we're not doing well in some of these areas in management leadership. What is it that we're looking for as we start looking for replacement? So I think it'll be very helpful as we look for the new interim and real person going down the road. I think this is great.
Any other comments? All right.
I was calling stakeholders on Monday. That's what we were supposed to be doing at the evaluation program. So I heard.
All right, moving on to on our agenda, item 7, executive officer report. You turned me off because people looking there for me, but you're over here. Executive officer report and status of investigation.
Thank you, Chair. As of June 3rd, we have a total of 51 for this year. Of the 51, 27 remain pending. Of the 27, 10 are over the 2-month period that we put on the self-certification. Of the 119 total for 2024, 18 remain pending. So we're trying to do our best to finish. There's 4 of us, 4 investigators, to complete these cases as quickly as possible. And the breakdown for the last 3 months, March, we have 17, April, we have 15, and 11 for May, and we have 1 so far for June. So this completes my status of reports.
Any questions for the executive officer? Not moving into executive session.
That's it, we're out. That was painful. My God, that was so painful. Have a good one. I can't wait to escape. I was falling asleep, bro. I was totally phasing. Even Joe to look at, bro, what are we talking about here? The strategic plan put me to sleep, bro. 100%. You were gonna rate on that, bro. I knocked out Bryce Moore too. We're all fading out. So we bounced out from here. That's the HBD thing. While I'm in town, I'm gonna make a few more phone calls, see if I can link up with any of the people here before I head back. And we gotta deal with traffic. There's only one restaurant here, Bo's Kitchen, right across the street. And so that's where everyone else will be at. Snack shop, and they're closed. And we're gonna bounce. We might get lunch there, and we're gonna do a follow-up. It's alright. So we're gonna contact the people at the park house, and then we're gonna get an update from Carl Dix and Joel Kaleakana, and we'll be back with you guys later. Aloha. Follow us online, ʻohanauniparty.com.